you guys enjoy your whatever that is.
All right. Test. 3, 2.
Segment 3 of Convincing Idiots, episode 189. We are here to celebrate me. No, we're not. No, that's, again, I think that's listed for next week. Stay tuned. Now, this week, our main event topic, Brian, is what the heavy metals. We are heavy metal fans. We are rock and roll fans. So we've done our top, bands, but we've yet to do our top lead singer, frontman, if you will. So that's what we're going to do. This is our Mount Rushmore of frontmen, rock and roll. Now, with our discussion between shows here, Brian, I am clear that this is rock and roll. Or are we sticking with heavy metal or
Any combination of rock, hard rock, metal.
Okay.
Just that genre. So just not pop rock or country. We could, this is just rock.
Okay.
Whatever you want about rock. How about that?
Okay. So all 5 can be Fred Durst.
Sure, of course.
Okay. All right.
I would expect at least one, of course. Yeah.
Well, let me adjust. Okay. All right. So, with this being your topic, your idea, your brilliant idea, sir, you should probably kick us off here in the main event.
Yeah, I'll start out with a metal singer, one of the greatest metal singers, hard rock singers, in my opinion. Unfortunately, lost him a few years ago. I did have the privilege of seeing him sing
Hope y'all
live.
Can find him.
I've seen him a few times, and just what you heard on the albums that he sang was what you heard live. Really amazing. Small stature, but huge voice. Ronnie James Dio.
Yes.
On my list. So Dio sang solo certainly for many, many years. He also sang with Black Sabbath. So there's some Black Sabbath albums. They kind of went by the moniker Heaven and Hell, after Ozzy left the band. They brought him, another guy for one album, but Dio sang a couple albums with them. So just a great vocalist. Love him. Lost him too soon. But
sure.
Yep, on my list.
All right. Well, that's a good way to kick it off, Brian. I'm going to kick it off. And remember, people, this isn't a definitive fucking list. We're idiots. This is our personal list, our personal Mount Rushmore. We have not got together and collectively decided this. With that said, my number one, not necessarily number one, but he is the first one I'm going to say on my Mount Rushmore. Chris Cornell.
Yep.
Lead singer of Soundgarden. If you can give me a better, just pure rock voice, that high-pitched rock voice, with the tones that he could hit, and then he could go drop down and do the really soft fucking stuff. He was just brilliant. Again, another one gone too soon. It's a fucking shame because he had everything ahead of him still, and he had been doing it for what 30 years.
Yep.
Chris Cornell, like Dio, he did his solo stuff. I think I brought him up a couple weeks ago when we did cover songs.
Yep, you did.
His cover of Billie Jean is just ridiculous. Look that up. But again, what he did with Soundgarden to have, to bring what he did with the grunge sound.
Yeah.
That was different than a lot of the other grunge sounds. But still, held his part, did his role. Chris Cornell, number one on my list.
Great start. Yeah, that Soundgarden album, man, Black Hole Sun, and
so amazing.
Man, just that album defined that summer of 1994. Yep. That's the year I moved out.
94.
Moved in. That's right. Yeah.
I'm telling
moved in with my buddy Jim. We got our apartment together. He had that CD. And it just had that whole, and that was sort of new music for us at the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and you guys were still like hairband and shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you
really holding on to
shit.
Yeah, that was like, this is new music, but this is fucking good. And really, it was his vocals, man.
Incredible.
Yeah, just a shame. We got another guy we lost way too soon. It's a real shame. But he definitely left us with some great vocals, that's for sure. All right, I'm going to give you Steve Perry
of course,
Journey. So, just I think back of just, do I love every Journey song? Not necessarily, certainly, but his voice, though, man. I'm thinking of vocalists when I hear them sing, it's just like, man, that person is just so good. Yes,
you hear his voice, your ears go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because like you said, now a lot of people, are probably like you. Not all the Journey songs are gold, but the ones that are gold are fucking gold. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like everybody loves, that, all of those songs. So when you hear them, just a small town, you're okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Just booming voice. Another guy that could sing.
Yep.
When you see recordings of him live and everything, just so good. Personally, seemed like kind of a douchey dude, whatever. But but still, he could sing.
We could probably say that about the majority of these this list here.
That's right. And not
going to
many
be millions of dollars to sing in front of other people.
I would venture to guess probably the only vocalist on our list that was in a fucking video game. I'll bet you. I remember the Journey video game where you could play.
There was a Journey video game?
Oh man, they were huge,
not know this.
Man. It was it was in a Separate Ways album era. So this is like Open Arms and all that stuff. Just really huge stuff. And they had a video game, and it was like their face, pictures of the Journey doing stupid stuff. But you could play a video game as members of Journey. Had a Atari 2600 video game, which was one of the worst video games ever created and to play, but it was there.
Sure. So, okay.
Yeah, huge back in the day.
Did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to go a little farther back than what we have already.
Sure.
And I'm going to go Jim Morrison of The Doors.
Yeah.
One of the original, what do you want to call, bad boys? Before punk was a thing, he was getting arrested for lewdness on stage.
Yep.
I mean, the drugs and alcohol, the let's go back to what we'd said about the other guys, and which will be a running theme, I think, through all of this, the voice.
Yep.
His presence. I mean, he was the original, faulty rock and roll frontman.
Sure.
He was passed out on stage frontman. Again, taken too soon, if you believe that sort of thing.
That's right. Yep.
I'm just saying there's conspiracy theories that he faked his own death.
Yep.
If you look into that, that's a fascinating rabbit hole to go down also. But yeah, Jim Morrison, The Doors. I think every teenage boy goes through different phases of rock and roll, and The Doors is one of them, I believe.
Yeah.
I know it definitely was for me.
Yeah. I'm with you. I got into The Doors, like my dad had some albums or something like that, and then the the whole Doors movie with Val Kilmer, one of his greatest roles he ever played, my opinion. Yeah, just a fascinating dude. You're right. Got the Doors banned from the Ed Sullivan show. They didn't want him to sing. Girl, we couldn't get much higher.
Right.
And then so he purposely looked right in the camera and sang it and gave it an extra punch, like "fuck you, Ed Sullivan" and everybody, and that was it.
He was the original
he was a rock and roll dude,
rock and roll artist.
Yep. Good one. All right, so I'm going to give you Freddie Mercury,
of course,
Queen. Just again, just one of the I don't know what else to say. Just a sheer talent,
performance artist.
Yeah, the guy was just amazing. He certainly could write songs and everything else as well, and just
the range of his voice is insane.
Absolutely. So, just a fascinating presence. Go ahead.
I was going to say that he's one of those that I didn't put on the list, knowing that one of you two would have. Yeah. I kind of thought of that. I'm like, all right, I want to, try to get a little different, because if we thought about actually 100% who should be on this list, we'd all probably have roughly the same list. So I tried to, but he was definitely one that I've been like, well, of course he should be on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. This is such a unique sound and everything. I just don't know what to say. Like you say, just an ultimate showman. Flawless vocals, powerful, played piano. Again, like you said, showmanship. Checked all the boxes of what is it that you would like to have in a lead rock singer. Top to bottom, might be the old time best. Arguably.
Absolutely.
Right. So there you have it.
Well,
who else you got?
When you say arguably, well, you use those words because there's a gentleman like this who's next on my list that is definitely on that up there with him, and that's Ozzy Osbourne himself from Black Sabbath.
Yep.
Again, we don't have to say enough about the voice and the range, but he had the presence, the accolades, and even what he did, in his. I know we're talking about bands, but his solo career and what he's done pop culturally, in the last 25 years, right?
Sure.
Ozzy Osbourne went from the nation thinking he is a satanic bat-eating maniac to everybody's favorite grandpa.
It's right,
and it's a beautiful thing.
Yep. Yeah, and not many. Matter of fact, Ozzy is going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, Dean, as a solo artist. I don't know if you saw that or not. So
yeah, that is insane. That I would have thought it would already happen. That was confusing.
No, that's right. But there's not many artists that had great success in not only a band, but also as a solo act. There's definitely been some, but not many. And so and if you talk about hard rock and metal, the list is even smaller that has a very successful solo career. I mean, Dio did have some success in Black Sabbath and as a solo, but not at the same level as Ozzy.
There are people probably out there that doesn't know Ozzy Osbourne was in a band.
That's probably right. They know of him. You know the name. You know who he is, right? So, and he's got some just great stuff. Sort of battled drug addiction, everything else he had to fight through. But man, there's so many good albums and songs. His solo stuff is just. It's hard to argue. One minute you say Black Sabbath was better, the next minute you say, well, Ozzy had some great solo stuff. You could really go back and forth of what his best stuff is.
There's some things where I even stand, I'm like, wait a minute, is that just Black Sabbath or is that his solo stuff? Some of it's blurred. Yes, there's some older stuff that you definitely can, that's just Ozzy, but there's some of his early Ozzy stuff that you blur a little bit.
Right. 80s did his thing.
Yep.
70s, 80s, 90s. He changed his look a little bit, that type of thing, to go with the times a little bit. But
Yep.
he's going to give you an Ozzy Osbourne sound and song and everything else, and that's just it. You know what you're going to get with him. Fantastic.
And if you would have polled 1,000 people in 1983 and said, do you think Ozzy Osbourne will be alive in 2024?
No, absolutely not.
1,001 people would have said, of course not. I'm not even surprised. Yeah. I don't even think he's going to be alive at the end of this year.
Yeah, you're right about that. Just a maniac.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah,
and now
good for him.
America's grandpa. God bless him.
There you have it. That's great. Well, the man that started this whole idea, I talked about seeing him a couple of weeks ago with Allie, and I said that he would be on my list about all-time Mount Rushmore hard rock singers. Rob Halford from Judas Priest. Man, and again, a lot of people know the mainstream, a few songs by Judas Priest, and those vocals are great. But if you go back and listen, there's so many deep cuts of Judas Priest that are just excellent songs that never got the mainstream airplay, like, Living After Midnight, this and that. I mean, those are still good songs, but his range also is just phenomenal, man. Just great,
I think
great
Judas
stuff.
Priest was in a brief period that hurt them because of the whole 80s satanic scare of pop culture, where these metal bands were the devil, right?
Sure.
Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne himself, these guys were satanic music. And if that wouldn't have been the case, I think more people could have experienced those tracks that you're talking about and really enjoyed and appreciated what there was. And bands like that, Judas Priest and Rob Halford, could have been so much bigger than what they were.
I agree with that. They did finally get into the Hall of Fame last year as a performing act as well. So at least they got in and to represent metal, which is certainly well deserved. But yeah, if you like hard rock and metal, if you know some Judas Priest, that's great. Just go back and listen to some of the deeper cuts of Judas Priest. I'm sure there's probably essential playlists out there that have deeper cut stuff, but you will be pleasantly surprised with the different vocals that Rob Halford has to offer, along with the whole Judas Priest band. But what else you got, Dean?
All right, number 4 on my list. I don't think all of us would have this on here, but this is a personal favorite of mine. Sure. I actually just bought the vinyl record I found in the record store. I'm going Serge Tankian from the lead singer of System of a Down.
Wow. Okay.
Now he's on my list for a couple different reasons. One, again, I don't know how much you know of this System of a Down. But the vocal range for that dude is off the chart as well.
Okay.
And they were in that group of late 90s, early 2000 bands that had more of a I don't want to call it protest esque, a style of music and fuck the system type bands. So they, culturally they played their part, and they played a big part in that. Musically, if you listen, like I've listened to obviously every album they have, and he's just he is a frontman through and through. His voice to his presence. But instead of, he may have done his share of partying. I don't know. But it's more of like activist type thing. So it's that different style, different idea, but still you have that metal, feel to it that, if you haven't heard much of them, Brian, I suggest you dive into that as well.
Okay, sure.
System of a Down.
Yeah, I probably would know some songs if I heard them. I know the name of the band, but I couldn't sit here and tell you.
Dude, pull up the
offhand.
album Toxicity.
Okay.
Listen to it front to back. A, you'll know some of the songs, but B, it's just lyrically, vocally, the music itself, it's just fantastic. It is one of my, and we could do a episode on that, or topic on that, is, cover front to, albums front to back. What albums could we sing along with from the first lyric to the last? And that is one of mine.
Very good. Excellent. My last one, my fifth one, Robert Plant.
Yep.
Led Zeppelin. One of the few guys that really, one of the few artists that, certainly others have too, but, certainly in Led Zeppelin, he was, humongous. And as we all know, Led Zeppelin stopped performing as a band after John Bonham died. But he went out and did some pretty solid solo stuff in the 80s, right? Very soft, I shouldn't say soft, right? Light rock type stuff that was very, very good stuff.
Especially compared to Led Zeppelin.
Yes, absolutely, but still good. And he's sort of reinvented himself. He goes out and sings like folk type stuff these days.
I've heard,
all that.
It's good. Like I'm a folk guy. I'm a folk guy, and I come up across some of his stuff, and I'm like, really? Is this what we're doing? And I played it. And I'm like, oh shit, this is really fucking good. But you're like, oh, it is Robert Plant. Like, why would it be good?
Right. I've not listened to it. I'm not against it. I just haven't taken the time to really. He does it's a duet he does with a female singer. He's been working with her for several years, touring and different things. So they were just in Cleveland last year as well, I believe, or Chicago Falls and Blossom. But so he still has some success, still touring big. But man, this Led Zeppelin stuff just. Some of the most powerful vocals you're ever going to hear, and again, his range too was just flawless. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my fifth.
All right, my fifth. We've been all over the time chart here. Let's go something a little more contemporary.
Sure.
They've been around for a bit, 20-some years, but it's still contemporary today. Just his presence as a person, along with his presence in the band as a lead singer, Dave Grohl, Foo Fighters.
Sure.
He is, at this point, he's the elder statesman of rock and roll. He is the flag bearer of rock and roll. Mm-hmm. He is, he leads the charge for what rock and roll is, in the mainstream at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we know about his voice, we know his musical talent. If you listen to him talk just music, it gets to be the nerdiest goddamn thing you ever heard, and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Just to hear him talk music is insane, and you love it, you get hyped, you're like, fuck, I wish I was a fraction of that smart for anything, let alone for music.
Yeah.
So Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters.
Very good. Yeah, you're right. I mean, definitely a passion. Mm-hmm. Good for him. Good for him. So you want to recap your five again?
Chris Cornell, Jim Morrison, Ozzy Osbourne, Serge Tankian, and Dave Grohl.
Very good. I'm surprised we had no overlaps. Our top five: Steve Perry, Rob Halford, Dio, Freddie Mercury, which you thought of, and Robert Plant.
Yep.
Any honorable mentions?
I'm going to run through my honorable mentions because you're going to hear a couple of them that are on your list, and I put them in the honorable mentions. Like I said before, knowing that you guys would have them on your actual list. Freddie Mercury, Robert Plant, Mick Jagger.
Yep.
Janis Joplin.
Sure.
Not a lot of people think that, but she did have a band, Full Tilt Boogie Band. Roger Daltrey, James Hetfield, Sully Erna of Godsmack, and Jack White of the White Stripes.
Very
and
good.
Any one of them I could have easily been happy to put up on my actual list.
Sure. Yeah, I've got, let's see, honorable mentions. I had to have Elvis, at least on a honorable mention. Certainly known as a performer, but he had some very good vocals. If you go back and listen to some of his stuff, he had a very good range between, even gospel stuff and
if you pull
stuff
up, if you YouTube some of his stuff of like covers, where he's doing like just studio fucking around covers or stuff on stage that he did of other people's stuff. He did one of I think it was Yesterday from the Beatles. That was ridiculous. Like his voice, especially doing other stuff that he didn't write, it's so good.
Very good. Ann Wilson, Dean from Heart. Great voice. By the way, if you haven't have you ever seen her do the Stairway to Heaven version?
I have not.
You know what they did? It was one of those I can't think of the award, but it was like the president. It was like a
Kennedy Center
thing or something like that. Because the guys came out, they had the the ribbons and everything. But this particular they had Led Zeppelin that they honored, right? So those guys were actually there, like David Letterman. There were a few for this performance, and she kind of came out and surprised them and did a version of Stairway to Heaven.
Gonna have to look that up.
Look it up on YouTube, dude. And then there's a whole choir and orchestra thing that comes up there, and they cut to the guys at Led Zeppelin, as you'd imagine, frequently, and Robert Plant is tearing up because it's such a powerful version.
I'm actually watch that tonight when we're done.
Yeah, dude, you'll love it, seriously. But her voice in general, just fabulous, powerful, great. Jeff Tate. So I would imagine that Jeff Tate would probably be on Nick's list as well, from Queensryche.
Sure.
Right. So again, just from a sheer vocal talent, one of the greatest ever. His range, some of those old albums of Queensryche in the 80s were just fantastic. Operation Mindcrime, one of Nick and I's favorite albums of all time. He was just great. Stevie Nicks. Not super hard rock, certainly, but from a rock vocalist, certainly she was great. Whole sound and vibe to her voice. Love it. Klaus from the Scorpions.
Oh, okay. Dude, that guy's voice is...
Yeah, man. Guy's 75 years old. They're still, or whatever he is, they're still singing, doing shows in Vegas.
There is I think I've talked about it on the show before, but there is a podcast. It's a special podcast where it's only meant to be 10 episodes or whatever, but it was about Wind of Change.
Yeah.
And how the song got made, what it means. It's an insane story. That song alone is ridiculous. And I guess he recorded it in I'm not even going to say the number because I'll get it wrong, but a lot of different languages. I turned on the Summit the other day, and it happened to be him singing Wind of Change in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
It was so cool. I'm like, what? I know the song, but I've never heard this version.
Yeah.
Very cool. And it was him singing it. And he still hit the notes and the levels. It was very cool.
Yeah, just a lot of you know a lot of the mainstream Scorpion songs and all that. Even those are great, but he does a lot of deeper cut Scorpion songs. Even
sure,
still some of the best live performances ever saw was Scorpions to this day. And again, those guys play great, and he sings great live. Just awesome. I was like Yeah, I also had Chris Cornell,
Yep.
Dean. Grace Slick from Jefferson Airplane,
Mm-hmm.
and then later to Jefferson Starship. But again, just another super powerful rock voice. I also had Mick Jagger and Ozzy Osbourne on my list. That's what I had. There's could be plenty more. But
We missed so many.
yeah, but pretty solid list though. I think all the way around.
And I apologize to viewers or listeners that I lied. Nick is not joining us. Obviously, we thought he was going to, but he's not. But actually, we might tune in next week. In our opening segment, when we asked what the fuck we did or that anybody cared, I'm going to make him give us his list because I am very actually curious. I was excited about it, all of our lists for this, so I'm going to make him read us quickly in the beginning of next episode his list of lead rock singers.
Absolutely. I'm surprised you didn't have the Beatles.
You know what? Here's the thing: is if you look at the Beatles, there wasn't one lead singer. I mean, there were two, but all of the other band members had songs that they sang. Like Ringo has songs that he did lead for. When they're doing live shows, Paul and John were standing next to each other, so that's why I didn't put them on. I did debate it, but there wasn't one that stood out in front of the other.
Okay,
it is very arguable who is the lead singer of the Beatles. I think you would, again, the 1,000 people thing, you go 50-50.
Yeah. I almost put John Lennon on my list when I think about more of the rock
I saw that on other people's lists.
Yeah.
See, to me, I would, if I had to pick, I go Paul.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's up there. I'm going to go around asking people. That's a good question to ask people. Who do you think the lead singer? And if anybody says Ringo, you don't need that sort of negativity in your life. You can just stop being friends with them. So,
and there's certainly plenty of other performers that when you talk about, just sheer front people, front persons, front people of a band, right, would certainly edge up, but not necessarily from a vocal talent perspective. It seems like we edged out the vocal talent, maybe, more than the physical presence out there on the stage. Is that fair to say?
That is, like, I did consider, looking at mine, I did try to like incorporate a couple different things. I just didn't try to stick with one thing.
Sure. Because
if you're going like strictly voice, there's some that we definitely left off. But sorry, the cat is making a ruckus over here. But if you're talking about, like you said, strictly stage presence, you're going to have a different list.
Right.
So, I mean, there's so many different things to think about in this category. That's why I found this to be so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a David Lee Roth would be a good front man.
Yep.
But vocally, just not as good as some of the other performers that we had on our list, for instance. So, okay. All right, very good. Well, also, Dean, we talk about sheer performance and talent. We can't leave off our final friends, our sponsor. Yes.
You're not talking about me. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. RPM Bike Shop, Dean. So located in historic, musical Carrollton, Ohio. What do you think music in the Ohio area?
Think Carrollton.
It's going to be in the top, 4,000 cities of Ohio, something like that,
Made the list.
Yeah, sure. Yes, absolutely. That's right.
There's somebody singing on a corner somewhere.
Sure. I don't doubt it.
And if they do,
find
they're
them-
probably singing about RPM Bike Shop.
That's right. That's right. You can find them on Facebook, RPM Bike Shop, online. You can also give them a call to 330-808-7792.
You tell them that you came here to ride a bike because the musical stylings of Brian Fisher sang into your ear holes and told you that you need to experience, to live the life of RPM Bike Shop.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I was a professional wrestling manager in my previous life, I think.
There you go. There you go. No encore for this particular episode. I'm afraid this is it. Episode number 189 is officially in the books. As a reminder, again, you can find us out there on all your major podcast platforms. Give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, rating, review. Find us on our YouTube channel. Find us on our YouTube music channel. Find us on our Linktree page. Find us on our website, convincingidiots.wordpress.com.
Find us in your mom's bed.
That's right. That's right. Now, there are some encores there, actually. Yeah.
I mean, not for me. I'm too old. What's the main performance? I have to have fluids. I gotta maybe get a sandwich. I can't come back straight up. Come on.
And have we convinced you to rock and roll all night and listen to us idiots every week?
Ladies and gentlemen, Nicholas has left the building.
Hi, this is Millennial Nick, along with Gen X Brian and Zennial Dean. Hey, if you liked that video, which we really hope you did, you should like and subscribe. That would be great.
Ham gravy.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to want to tune in this week to Convincing It.
Okay.
I mean, it's the name of the show. You'd think out of everything I would fuck up, that wouldn't be part of it. But here we are.